What's up everybody, Dan here with Dan and Sarah Makers, and thank you for joining us for another one of our garden shed build videos. We are going to start working on fabricating some door frames. As you can see, I've got a door here. It's used, but it was inexpensive. But it has no frame, or threshold, or knob, or anything. So what we're going to do is we are going to start working on building frames for these doors. As you can see here on the sawhorses, I have got some beautiful Douglas fir lumber that we milled up with our Woodmizer. These are 2" by 7" rough blanks. We've got 5 pieces, so that should give us enough material for 4 vertical pieces and 2 head jambs. So we are going to start dimensioning this lumber up to the correct size, planing it and profiling it so it's good for an actual door jamb. The first step that we're going to use to true these boards up is we're going to use our Festool track saw, and we are going to put the track pretty close to the edge just so we skim off just a little bit all the way down one side. As the boards have dried since they were milled, knots and things like that cause kind of a little bit of a differential shrinkage along one edge, so they're not as true as they were when they came off the mill. So this will get it really nice. Then we can put it through the table saw and then through the planer.
Did she just take the next one, or?
No, she got sugar cookie bad.
Oh. Hey, sugar cookie. Hey, Benny. Covered in sawdust.
Log dog.
It was going to be easy cleanup.
All right. Oops.
This one's really wonky.
Yeah. All right. So we cut our blanks at 2" by 7", and the thickness of our studs and our plywood, and potentially putting some kind of wall covering in the future on in the inside of the shed, ideally these jambs would be about 7" thick. But because they are wonky, because they bowed a little bit in the drying process, about 6½ is going to be closer to what we need to cut them at, so they're actually parallel and straight and true. So we're going to go ahead and cut them at about 6 5/8 inches. We'll send them through the planer, which will take off a little bit more because I'm not sure how nice this blade will finish compared to what the Festool does. So 6 5/8, and then we'll plane them. So this beautiful drawing here that I've got, we are going to make a cut right here in our rectangular board in preparation for the area that the door goes into. So we'll make this cut 2 inches in, approximately a 1/2 inch deep, just a hair under. Then we'll flip the boards 90 degrees and cut this cut here. So this chunk will fall out where the door goes.
Weird.
So we're not quite sure what's going on here, but way over here we have a dog spying on us. You just see her eyes. I suspect that she's waiting for a toy to get thrown. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Oh, hello. Please throw this. Please, sir. All right, so we've got our little 1/2 inch deep cut, 2 inches in. Now we're gonna make the other cut that is about 2.5 inches deep and cut that little 1/2 inch chunk out of there. We have to overcut it because the gasket seal fits in a little track that basically will continue on deeper than the cut we need to make.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, so this is a piece of the weather stripping, and it's got, not the one that we're going to use, but it's got a little barbed fin that fits in a saw kerf. And so we have to overcut to allow that to sit in there. We're just about ready to start doing the finish, cleaning up and finishing these doors. But because of the weather and temperature outside that it's gotten to now, we're going to actually do it inside the house. But before we do that, I want to drill for the lock set. We're just going to go with the standard levered style knob. We're not going to have a deadbolt. It will be keyed, but that really doesn't make a difference in this situation. Because these doors are blanks, they don't have any hinges routed into them. They don't have a hole drilled for the lock set. So I'm going to drill a hole for the lock set now. Twofold. Number one, doing it outside, all the sawdust, the foam insulation, and the metal skin shavings will be outside, and we don't have to worry about those on the floor. And it'll just be easier to do it now, because if for some reason I mess something up and a hole saw skids out of place, it won't destroy all the paint after we put it on. So I've got a lock set jig. It's a pretty simple thing, but it is pretty convenient. It's basically just a bracket that slides over the edge of the door. It's got a big 2 1/8 inch hole on both sides that lines up. That's for the actual lock set to go through. And then it's got a 1 inch hole on the edge of the door jamb that would be for the strike or the bolt to go through. It has an adjustable back set from 2 3/8 to 2 3/4. Because this is a garden shed, I want it really convenient to be able to open it with your elbow, your knee, whatever, your hip, to try and get in, because chances are every time we're going in and out of there, we're going to have a bunch of stuff in our hands. And also when you're going in from the outside, you're going to have that door jamb sticking out. So it's just going to be that much more stuff to get in between the door jamb and your hand. So we're just giving ourselves a little bit more clearance. So, pretty simple. I'm measuring up from the bottom of the door to 36 inches, so 3 feet above the bottom of the door. I figured out which is the inside and outside of this door. The door is glazed or caulked. The light or window on it has glazing or caulking sealant on the outside, and it doesn't on the inside. So I've got the outside facing up right now, and then we also figured out what hand door, a left hand or a right hand door. We're deciding to make both of our doors right hand doors. And a quick and easy trick is to stand with the door open with your back against the door jamb where the hinges are. And if the door opened this way and it's sticking off to your right with your back up against the jamb with the hinges, that is a right-hand door. If it's off to your left and it opened to the left, that is a left-hand door. So we're doing both of these doors as right-hand doors. So this is on its back, outside facing out. We want it to turn in like that, so hinges are going to be on that side. Lockset's going to be on this side. So I'm just measuring up 36 inches. Make a little center line mark. That is the center line of our lockset. I've got a little adjustable combination square. And I'm just going to draw a little line here, centered, and then I'm going to transfer that onto the door edge right there. This particular bracket, nothing really fancy. Like I said, it's plastic, it's adjustable, it's cold, so a couple of little centering tabs snapped off, but it's just just what we got to deal with here. So I slide it onto the door. Make sure I'm happy that it's not crooked. And there are a couple screw holes that would basically be where the strike plate or the bolt latch plate would be. So I'm going to set a couple screws in there. That way it doesn't wiggle around on me. Again, it's cold, so I'm not really going to be too aggressive with this unless I split this bracket out. So just a couple screws real quick. I'm going to start with the lock set that would slide, or sorry, the bolt that slides into the edge of the door. Honestly, I don't think it really matters which you start with. The only thing is, by doing this first, that core that's going to be in this hole saw is captive in the door, so I can pull the hole saw out and I don't have to dig that little bit out of this hole saw. Well, I'm through. Usually they'll have a wooden piece on the edge and then it'll go into a foam core with some wooden slats that help support the door. The rest of it's filled with foam for insulation reasons. So with the steel skin of the door, I'm going to drill from one side until I'm through the metal skin. Then I'm going to flip the door over and drill from the other side. If I drill straight through, I'll peel the metal down and get tear out and a rim, and I don't want that. So I'm going to start out on one side. Basically, I took the metal door panel off there. I'm going to flip the door over, and we'll drill from the other side and knock that foam core out. Alright, we are back out with our door jamb material, which you saw us mill up just previously in the video not too long ago, just seconds for you, probably more like a month for us. We've had so many other things going on that these have just been kind of sitting by the wayside trying to beat the snow, which, as you can see, we have not done successfully. We got about 5 inches of snow the other day and had to plow roads and all that. So it's warming up a little bit. Hopefully it'll all melt and we'll be back to kind of quasi unsnowy weather, but that's where we're at. So I am going to take these pieces of jam stock, rough jam stock. I cut them to 2 inches thick, way more than I need to. I am going to rip 5/8 of an inch off the backside. Unfortunately, my table saw cannot do it in one cut because these are, if I remember correctly, right at 6.5 inches thick. So I will cut as deep as I can on one side, flip it 180 degrees or end for end, and cut the other side. I will basically cut 2 grooves. They won't meet in the middle. Again, unfortunate. I'll probably break that chunk off with hammer, claws, flat bar, chisel, something, maybe just by hand. And then I will plane that rib, the little connecting piece, off with the planer. Ultimately, I want to go to about 2 1/4 inch thick. I'm going to go to 2 3/8. That way I can surface this inside jamb, since it is rough sawn from the Woodmizer, clean this up, and then do the final thickness on the backside with the planer. So I'll set up the saw and we will start ripping these down. I'm going to go ahead and try and start chipping these off or peeling them off. I've got a hammer, I've got a flat bar, and I've got about 1/4 inch of material to deal with or break away from. I don't think these will break super clean because the grain structure of the wood is doing its own thing. And I really hope I don't have to get a Sawzall and rip these, because that would take a while. Actually, it might not. It's only about 1/4 inch of material, so I think, you know what? I think I'll do that. So hang on. Don't cut your sawhorse. I'll go ahead and set up the planer. We'll put these through jamb facing out, side down, where the door goes. This would be up against our framing. We'll do that up. We'll clean the back up, and then we'll flip it over, do a pass, and then we'll finish it on this side to our finished thickness. If you can't quite tell, it actually snowed quite a bit from when I finished cutting these down to pretty close to their final shape and running them through the planer. As I said, my planer, it's got the original 3-blade straight knives on it. They're old, they've been nicked a few times, so they don't leave a really, really good surface. It takes a lot of effort to feed them through the planer. So what I'm going to do is, before I process these any further, I'm going to run the sander over them and just kind of smooth out those little ripples and bumps. It's all going to be painted, so it's not that big of a deal. We just want it a little bit smoother. I do have to say, just kind of as an aside, if you ever go on YouTube, look up Felder woodworking tools. They're out of Austria or Germany. They have some amazing like production cabinetry, super high-end table saws, shapers, joiners, you know, everything. They make incredible tools, super high precision, very expensive. My dream would be someday to have a woodworking shop with all those tools in it. But if you ever watch their videos where they're building doors or windows with their different shaper molder knife sets, they always have this beautiful, straight, clean lumber that's just amazing. And I was always super jealous of it because you don't find stuff like that here in the United States typically. So now I'm looking at this lumber here. It's nice and flat and smooth and square. And it's just like, that's really cool because it's something that we cut down the trees, we milled them up on our Woodmizer, we planed them, we shaped them, and now we're cutting them up and we're going to make doors out of them and basically install it literally feet away from where these trees grew. So that's just a really kind of cool thing to do for the first time. I've never done it before, so pretty exciting.